Hi everyone, this is Rakesh. Welcome to VR Computer Education. C programming. Today, class 7, we are going to discuss the basic structure of C. The structure, actually, what the C language structure contains. So, let us start the topic. Basic structure. Here, the structure of C program is defined by set of rules called as protocols. See, structure of C program is defined by some rules. Those rules are called as protocols. See, to write everything, so directly as we like, we cannot write anything program, or as we like, we cannot start the construction of a house. To start the construction of a house, we require proper plan. So based on the plan, construction will be done. In the same way, as we like, we cannot write a C programs. To write the C programs, we need to follow some structure, right? That structure contains what? That contains rules, or called as protocols. So using that protocols, we have to write the C program. Same thing is there. These protocols must be followed by the programmer. So program who writes the program, he is called programmer while writing the C program. The general basic structure of C program contains the following. So what it contains? First, it contains documentation section. Next, link section. Next, definition section. Next, global declaration. Next, main function. Next, user defined or sub program section. So this is the basic structure of C. What all the things it contains? Let us see in the structure form. So first, documentation section. Next, link section. Next, global declaration section. Next, main function. Next, in the main function, again two parts. One is declaration part and execution part. After that, user defined or sub program section. In this contains functions, number of functions. So let us discuss what is documentation section, link section, global declaration, main function, user defined or sub programs, one by one, individually in detail. First, documentation section. The documentation section consists of a set of comments, means used to write name or notes or author details of the program. So in the documentation section, what we'll use, we'll write the comments. So already in the previous classes we have discussed what is comments. Nothing but writing name of the program or author of the program or some description or detail of the program. When we write comments, it is very easy to understand the program, but comments are not executed by the compiler. So comments are not executed. Comments can be written anywhere in the program, and it is not compulsory to write comments in the program. Comments do not affect the execution speed and output. So down you can see the example here. So this is single line comment and this is multi-line comment. So there are two types of comments, single line and multi-line. So when we use single line, double slash we use multi-line, yes, slash asterisk and asterisk slash. So this is about documentation section. So in the documentation section we used to write the comments. Next, link section. So the link section provides instructions to compiler to link predefined functions from system library. So carefully try to understand the link section. First documentation section, next link section. The link section provides what? Instructions to compiler. What instructions? To link predefined functions from system library. So here C programs are divided into functions. So C program contains number of functions. A function, what is function? A function is a set of instructions which are arranged in a particular order to perform a task. Task means work or operation or transaction, you can say simply. So what is here? link section, what it will do? It provides instructions. What instructions? To link predefined functions from system library. Yeah, system library is nothing but it's one folder. It contains some functions. So now what is a function now here? A function is a set of instructions. Nothing but set of or group of instructions. They are arranged in order to perform a task. Next, here functions are divided into two types: user defined functions, predefined or system defined, or built-in or library function. These many names are there. Simple: user defined means user will define, predefined means already exist in the computer. So let us see what is user defined function. A function which is defined by the user. So we are the users. As a user, when we define a function, that is called user defined function. Every function as the function name, it is followed by parentheses. So these are the parentheses, and function statements enclosed by braces. So these are the braces. Example, you can see void sum and followed by parentheses. Here braces opening and closing. Here dashes are called statements. So here sum is the function name. So this is user defined function. Next, what is predefined or system defined or built-in or library function? A function which is defined by the system or compiler is called predefined functions. So what the functions which is defined by the system already present in the computer, those functions are called predefined functions. Predefined functions contain name and a task which is given by the compiler. This name and operations cannot changed by the user. So they are fixed. See, as a user, if we define any function and that function name, that function statements, we can change because we are only created that function. But predefined functions, they are fixed in the system. We have to use as it is, how it provided. That is the point here. The name and operations cannot be changed by the user. All predefined functions are grouped and stored in the different files known as system library. So all predefined functions will store at one place as a files where they are storing at the system library. Next, predefined functions cannot be accessed directly. So we cannot access directly predefined functions. If we want to access predefined functions, we need to inform the compiler about the file. Means whatever here at the above point, you can see all predefined functions are grouped and stored in one place, where in the system library. Suppose you cannot use directly system functions or predefined functions. To use, we have to inform the compiler about a particular file. It can be done by using preprocessor. So we have to use preprocessor to use predefined functions. So clearly try to understand predefined functions. To use predefined functions, we need to use preprocessor. What is here preprocessor? Hash include is a preprocessor. So hash include is also called as preprocessor directive. It is used to access the predefined functions. The task of preprocessor is to link the program with the required header file. So here what is the task of preprocessor? Hash include is a preprocessor. It will link the program with the required header file. Now what is header file? Header file is a collection of predefined functions. So header file is nothing but is a collection of predefined functions which can directly use in the program. Header files can be used only with a preprocessor, that is with hash include. So hash include is the preprocessor directive. To use predefined functions, we have to use this hash include. Right. So what is this hash include? It is a preprocessor. What it will do? It will link the operations to the required header file. What is header file? It's a collection of predefined functions. Just see the syntax. Hash include filename.h. Here example you see, hash include stdio.h. So stdio, standard input output header file it is. So .h is the extension. So header file is saved with .h extension and enclosed with angular brackets. So these are angular brackets. So inside angular brackets, header file is written. So stdio.h is the header file. So to use input and output operations in the program. So in the C program, if you want to write some input and output operations, directly we cannot write. We have to use one header file. That header file is stdio.h. That is standard input output header file. So when you use this, when you include this, you can write input output operations in the C program. So without including this, you cannot write. So the following are the some of the header files like stdio.h, conio.h, string.h, math.h, ctype.h, etc. Like this, many functions are stored in the predefined in the header file. So every function contains a specific task. Suppose here to use mathematical formulas, we need to use math.h, like that. Each and every header file contains some specific task. So this is about linking section. Next, definition section. The definition section is used to define the constant value in the program. Suppose we'll have some constant values. So here constant means value will not change. So value is fixed, cannot change during the execution of the program. So to define constant value in the program, we use hash define. See, hash include is used for what purpose? To include the header files. Here hash define is another preprocessor to write the constant values. Syntax you can see, hash define symbolic name and value. Here hash define pi. Here we used pi. Pi is the symbolic name and 3.141 is the pi value, is a fixed. The above example defining constant name, that is pi, and its value is 3.141. Value is fixed up to the end of the program. So what is the definition section? To define constant value in the program. Next, global declaration section. This section is used to declare global data. So global declaration section is used to declare global data. A data which is declared or placed outside the function is called global data. So when you declare outside the function a data, that is called global data. And this data can be accessed more than one function. Simple. When we go into the programming, then you'll understand what is global declaration. We'll get what is local declaration. Just here we'll learn the definition. What is global declaration? When we declare the data or placed outside the function. So when we place the data outside the function, that is called global declaration. And that data can be used more than one function. See, after global declaration, main function. So every C program must have main function. Why? It is a special function used in the C language because the compiler starts executing the program from main section only or main function only. So every C program must have contain main function. It is a special function used in the C language because compiler starts executing the program from main function only. So just you see the example here, you wrote void main. Main is a function, void is the data type. Void means empty. Here opening brace. Inside the main function, what it contains? Declaration part and executable part. And this completely opening to closing in the between statements are called function body. What is here? Main is the function name. Void is the data type. Void means empty. Here opening bracket and closing bracket is there. In between, here declaration part, executable part. Here we'll write the statements. Those statements are called here function body. Next. See again, void means empty. It is a data type which does not return any value. See, void means empty. It does not. It is a data type. It will not return any value. Main is the function name. It is followed by empty parentheses. Those brackets are called parentheses. The empty parenthesis indicates function does not contain any parameters or arguments. Means function. Here parameters or arguments means some values. Next, it is opening brace or delimiter. We call it as delimiter. Opening brace or delimiter, which indicates beginning of the function. Next, this is closing brace or delimiter, which indicates end of the function. Next, opening and closing brace between statements are called as function body. So, observe carefully. Next, the main function body contains two parts. You observed declaration part and executable part. What is declaration part? The declaration part is used to declare all the variables or data which are used in the executable part. So in the declaration part, we will write some variables. Those variables are used in the executable part. What is executable part? The executable part contains statements which will perform some operations and generate the result. See, the main function body is divided into two types, that is declaration part and executable part. What is declaration part? Contains all the variables. Those are used in the executable part. In the executable part, what happens? The statements will perform some operations and it generates the result. All the statements in the declaration and executable part ends with semicolon. So every statement in the declaration part as well as in the executable part ends with semicolon. Next, the program execution will begin at the opening brace and ends at the closing brace. The main function body part is executed by user, so it is called as user defined function. See, the main function body part is created by user, means we will create the main function body. That's why it is called user defined function. Next, what is subprogram or user defined section? In this section, user can define their own functions. So in the structure, we'll have last part, that is subprogram or user defined. What? In the user defined section, user can define their own functions which can perform particular task as per the user requirement. So as per the user requirement, we will define some functions there. This section, functions are called in the main function for execution. So to execute the user defined function, we'll call those functions to the main function. But generally user defined functions are written after the main function. This section is optional, can be used according to the requirement. So can be used according to the requirement. It is optional, not mandatory. So here after main function, we will write the user defined functions. Means we can declare our own functions. To execute that function, it must be called to the main function. Right, that is the point here. Let us see some basic program. See, hash include stdio.h. This is a header file declaration. Next, void main, because program will start from the main section. Opening brace. So printf is the function. So printf is a function to use, which is used to print some text on the screen. Okay, output, on the output, to print some text on the output, we'll use printf function. To use printf function, we need one header file which is called as stdio.h header file. Without using stdio.h header file, printf function will not work. To use this stdio.h header file, we have to use preprocessor, that is called hash include. Now, this is a small program. After writing, Alt plus F9 will do for compilation, Control plus F9 linking and execute. Alt plus F5 to print the result or output. So this is just for knowledge I have shown. So in detail we'll go in the further classes. Just this is a basic C program. So this is what basic structure of C. I hope you understood. Thank you.